Alright, so here's a quick and dirty run through of what I created to be a somewhat budget praise and worship pedal board. You can see here I have 15 pedals and I paid about $700 Canadian for all of it, about 500 US. So most of these are shipped straight from China, which is how I save money, but that also involved waiting a month or two for them to arrive. And some of them are also purchased used from local classifieds in order to save money. So the most expensive pedal is this one at $100 used. And the cheapest would probably be this Overdrive. Was $20. These are Canadian dollars, so for those Americans it's even less. So yeah, this is what I've been able to create. It's what I think is super flexible, covers pretty much everything I need. Like I might like to have an octave or pitch shift pedal, but I really don't need that. And in case you're wondering, I'm playing all of this through a Gretsch Pro Jet. And all of this is going through the Behringer B108D PA speaker. Also, all this is being powered by Kaolin Power CP04. And this is the pedal board I made myself using wood, screws, spray paint, and Velcro. So let's kind of go through it. The first pedal you'll see the guitar going into is my Boss TU3 Chromatic Tuner. I leave it always on and keep it in bypass mode so that I don't need to stop playing in order to tune. So like if I just happen to hit like an open E while I'm playing, I can tell right away whether it's sharp, flat, or in tune. So that's what I have first. I also have it first because it has a buffer in it, so it can keep the signal strong throughout the whole chain. So as you can tell, it doesn't really affect the signal at all. Next up, I do have a compressor. I don't use it all the time like a lot of people do, but I do have it sometimes just for that kind of more subtle sound of being able to bring up my single notes, especially if I'm finger picking or just doing some quieter stuff. So the setting's pretty low. As you can see, it's upside down, but here's kind of what it does. So I can't tell if you can tell through the mic, but it does strengthen the signals of those quieter notes. And it squishes it a little bit too. But you'll tell if I do something super hard, it won't really affect it too much. So the volume doesn't get changed that much, but it does get a bit squishier. So next up I have a Rowan Blues. It's a blues breaker type pedal, so it's one of my favorites. Just gives a bit of that sound of an edge of breakup amp. Which is great because I normally run my amp clean, like completely clean, which is very different than what a lot of people do. Some people do like having that option of having an edge or breakup sound, so this is pretty much an on-off switch for me to be able to do that. Yeah, so it just kind of gives a little bit of dirt, but for a lot of people that is actually their clean sound, so it kind of gives me that option of having that slightly dirty clean sound. So next up I do have a twin note British dist. It's a distortion pedal. It's the only one I have here. I don't use distortion too much, but it is nice from time to time to have. So again, I don't have it set too high, but if I do want that dirtier rocky sound, it's there. Sometimes to give it a bit of boost, I'll combine it with the Overdrive. So I just talked about, the next pedal is the Coco Overdrive. It's a tube screamer type pedal, one of my favorites. It's my this is what I normally use as my high gain sound. Gives that mid push, and it kind of gives a smooth type of overdrive, which I like. Next up is the MM Silver by Musky. It's kind of a Timmy type transparent drive. It gives a kind of grittier overdrive sound. Kind of hear like the fuzziness of that a bit. I use it as my mid type of overdrive. And next up I have a Maaske Golden Horse. It's a clone type pedal. I don't really actually like the overdrive of this too much, so I just kind of use it as a treble booster. So gains all the way down, outputs at noon, and I have my treble a little bit up. So it's very subtle, but it kind of helps me to clear it up a bit for lead lines. So I normally stack it on top of something else. So this gives us a tiny bit of clarity there. So next up I have an XP booster. It's a preamp booster. It kind of gives it a fatter sound, brings up the bass a bit, fuller sound, and smoothens things out a bit too. So it's especially good with grittier sounds like the MM Silver or the British Dist, if I want to have a smoother sound. So I'll normally use it with something else, so you can hear the comparison. Try it with the distortion. So you can hear there's a lot more fuzz when I turn that thing off. So next up is the Joyo AC tone. So this is actually my amp. I don't have what most people would typically consider a guitar amp. Well, I do, but not in this case. So this is actually going straight into a PA speaker, and you're hearing everything through that PA speaker right now into the mic. So this acts as my amp. So it gives a voxy kind of sound. It has a mid scoop. I'm also kind of, as you can see by the EQ, giving it a bit of a mid scoop as well. So you can hear it with it off and on right now. Yeah, so it makes a pretty big difference there. So the Joyo AC tone actually does have a cab sim built in. So my next pedal is a Rowan Shaper, which is a cab sim pedal, but I don't really use it much because I actually like the one straight in the AC tone. So next up I have a volume pedal. So it does what volume pedals do. But it also has a wah functionality built in. Understandably for praise and worship I don't use the wah that much, but an other issue is that it does boost the volume a decent amount when I turn on the wah, so that's another reason for me to not use it. So next up is the biggest and most expensive and most power hungry pedal I have on here, which is the Line 6 M5. The reason why I decided to go with it, even though it is quite different than the other pedals, is because it does give me flexibility. So it has a tuner built in, it has tap tempo, it has a noise gate built in. As you can maybe read, it has a whole bunch of effects built in. Unfortunately, you can only run one at a time, but it gives me the option to add modulation if I want it, because I don't normally use modulation. There wasn't really much point in me getting a modulation pedal. So I normally just have this as a dotted eighth, but I could do a lot more with it. So here's an example of what I could do with that. So next up I have Ana Delay by Twin Note, and what's special about it is that even though it doesn't seem like it, it does have tap tempo functionality built in. So you can see if I tap it in quick or tap it in slow, it goes along with that. So next up is my Line 6 Verbzilla. I use it as my main reverb pedal. Right now I don't have it that subtle. I use it on a cave setting because I do like quite a bit of reverb, but it has so many options on it. It's also a buffer pedal as well as the M5, which I forgot to mention, which again helps to carry the strength of the signal past this pedal board because it's my second last pedal. So here's what it can sound like. So yeah, it's quite a big cave sound, but I still use it as my subtle sound. And finally, I have a Hall of Fame Mini. I have it loaded with a tone print called Big Room with a View. So I normally set it here. So it's quite obvious, but it can still get quite a bit washier. But when I want to do swells, I'll turn it up, turn on the other reverb, turn on the delays. So all my wet effects are on. So if you could hear the notes from my guitar, because it's near the mic, sorry about that, you wouldn't actually hear that through the speaker. So yeah, that's my pedal board. Quite a bit that you can get for relatively cheap considering the prices of pedals out there. And I really do like the sound coming out of everything on here. So let's just try a couple things. Kind of combinations, because yeah, you're mainly just hearing things by themselves. So this is what dirty stuff might look So as you can tell, those are probably pretty similar sounds to what you might hear on a Sunday. And there's quite a bit of diversity here, so I'm pretty happy with this. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully all this can be done to the glory of Jesus.